From the KDLM studios in Detroit Lakes, it's Hodge Podge with Carol McCarthy, presented by Partnership for Health, and now airing on TV3.
Good morning and welcome to Hodge Podge this June 18th, 2019. Joining me in the studio this morning, Detroit Lakes School Superintendent Doug Froke, and following the second meeting of the school board for the month of June already, Superintendent Froke joins me in the studio this morning. Good morning, Superintendent Froke.
How are you doing, Carol? Good morning.
I'm good. Yeah, good morning. I'm all charged up.
You're all charged up. I think I heard you mention earlier this morning something about the fact that we are entering or getting close to do they call it the solstice?
The summer solstice happens on Friday, the first day of summer. Mm-hmm.
There we go. And hopefully we'll be in that summer temperature of 75 or greater.
Well, is that your forecast?
Yeah, that's a good
weather.
I don't know.
Always sunny and 75?
Yeah, it's kind of like to not have to have something over the top, a light jacket. It'd be kind of nice to come to work with just walk out the door.
I got a bone chill. I was biking all over yesterday, and it just didn't have the right jacket on, and I was freezing all day. So anyway, it's a little bit warmer today, and we'll work our way up there. I think it's going to, get through this week, and then we'll probably be boiling.
Have you been biking regularly to work?
I have this last few days.
Have you?
So 2 days this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually it's been pretty nice. I can't complain too much, but it's been really nice. And I don't know, how does this weather affect? I know you've got some major construction projects in the school district. Is this weather hampering any of those projects or hindering any of those projects?
Not so much. I would think that a lot of the construction workers would probably prefer the cooler temperatures, that kind of thing. So I think in that regard, that's pretty good. It's probably advantageous to us, actually.
Right.
The thing, obviously, that we're concerned about is, as you would drive by Rossman and see the dewatering taking place, is the rain. So, if we can avoid that, that's a good thing. And so, for the most part, I think we started out early where we had some days there where it rained. But as of late, there hasn't been a whole lot of a shower, a random shower here and there, but I don't think it's impeded the work around Rossman specifically, or and then the middle school work that's taking place right now is obviously inside. Mm-hmm. So that's really nice. It's where it's a little cooler. I think those workers would tell you that they probably are doing quite well. And the other thing to tell us about that is that for the most part at both sites, then the Rossman Elementary and the middle school, demolition is for the most part pretty close to being done.
Okay.
So in other words, we're in the next phase of putting the building back together again. So that's what's going to be very interesting and to see how things work out. So it's been good so far.
All right, so far so good. Yes, you've got some major undertakings at the school facilities as Detroit Lakes School District is working on updating and expanding, in some cases, school facilities. Now, what's happened this month so far, we've had a couple meetings. We had the work session, second Monday of the month, and then the work session, or the regular meeting yesterday. And now where are we at with some of these bids and letting out the bids, I guess, for the next projects?
Yeah, that's been a lot of work for the board. There's no doubt about that. As that's been the primary focal point of the work session, both in May and in June. Obviously the bid climate wasn't or hasn't come in as positive as we would have liked, and so the board has had to do some work. Along with the architectural firm of Zerberg and the construction management firm of Gertz Construction. They've been working with us, try and help manage the bid climate and what's been going on. We were very optimistic going into the Rossman bid opening in April, and we found out that very quickly that a lot of the contractors were already booked up, and that the Fargo market was very active. So we found out very quickly that we had to make some adjustments in some of the projects going forward, and so the board and again Zerberg and Gertz Construction have been working together to reconcile all of the projects and the overages that we've been experiencing. So that's been the work thus far. So basically where we're sitting right now, Carol, is that we have bid out, and including yesterday's activity by the board at their regular monthly meeting, we have bid out everything at Rossman, at the middle school, and at Roosevelt. And the last project, or the last bid package, will be opened in the latter part of November, December at the high school. So we moved that back with the idea, we moved the high school project back with the idea that that might be a more favorable bid climate at that time, where construction firms are lining up work for the following summer. So everything relative to the high school will be put off until next year.
Okay.
And so we continue to work at all sites. The Roosevelt site, we're doing some prep work from an earlier bid package that we prepared and approved, and that's we're doing some utility work, some footings, and you can see on the north side. I suppose people have driven by it, prepping the grounds for the addition on the north side. So that's kind of the work that started there.
All right, Detroit Lakes School Superintendent Doug Froke in the studio with me this Tuesday morning, and we're going to take a break. And then when we come back, Superintendent Froke, I want you to talk a little bit about, the schools are the kids are now out of school, except maybe for those that are attending summer school. But what happens behind the scenes with administration and the school board as you work through the summer? That's all ahead on Hodge Podge this Tuesday morning. Next.
Now, back to Hodge Podge with Carol McCarthy on KDLM Detroit Lakes.
Welcome back to Hodge Podge this Tuesday morning, June 18th, 2019. Back in the studio with Detroit Lakes School Superintendent Doug Froke. Superintendent Froke, now kids have been out of school for about a half a month, and teachers, of course, have been done now for about a week or two, and now administrators and administration still work through the summer, despite what people may think. But so what do you do in the summer? I mean, you still have school board meetings, but do you go over policies? Do you comb through budgets? What goes on?
Oh yeah, there's quite a little of activity. The piece about that is that your pace changes. When the kids are here and the staff are here, you really are. The pace is high, and it starts at 7 in the morning, and we go until 10 at night, just because there's activities, as you know, and that kind of thing. And we start classes at the high school at 7:10, mm-hmm. And so that's just kind of the way it goes. Well, if you want to take a look at it, actually our day probably starts around 6 a.m. with the idea that we have our busing and services and those kinds of things. So. We just go. We go very hard, and so then the difference in the summer is that the pace changes, and so the things that we're able to do a lot of things during the course of the day, and we enjoy the community of Detroit Lakes as well, in terms of wanting to be able to spend time with our families and enjoy the climate and the lakes and those kinds of things. So we do our work during the day, which mm-hmm. is pretty neat. So what do we do? There's many things. Our facilities have to get prepared for the following year. So that involves coordination, and we do projects on our facilities. Obviously, this is we're in a little bit different situation, because this is such a large undertaking with the construction project over the next couple of years. But on a smaller scale, that takes place every year. Carpeting, painting, fixing things that need to be fixed, updated, accommodations for our kids, those kinds of things. And then of course, staffing is a continual issue for us. Just so you know, I think we're going to be up over 30 new staff by the time we reconvene in August. Mm-hmm. And so that's a continual process, and we still, at this point in time, and we're in 10 years ago, we'd be talking today on June 17th, and we'd still be working at it. and not be real concerned because it would be, mid-season of hiring. Right now, the landscape of hiring teachers in the state has changed and in the nation has changed. And so right now today, we better be getting close to being done. And so as it stands today, we have about 5 positions that are available. And so we're working very hard in trying to get those filled. A couple, I'm going to say 3 of those 5 are very difficult positions to fill. And we're having to really mine the landscape of available applicants for those positions. And, when you talk about that, we're talking about having to do some national searches and that kind of thing. So those are the kinds of things that we do. And as you said, the school board still meets. They're obligated to meet by law on a monthly basis. Obviously, we buy services, and so when we buy services, we have to pay for those services, and so we get bills, and we have to pay bills. We approved a large budget. I'll just call it a typical operating budget for us is going to be around $40 million. So the board approved that yesterday at our regular monthly meeting, and so by law we have to have an approved budget in place before the 1st of July so we can pay bills after the 1st of July, which is our new fiscal year. So we did that, and the budget making process is also large and takes work in putting all of that information together. So there's a lot that happens yet for all of us as administrators and staff, and we still meet just because there's a lot of different things going on. And we have people that come in and register kids, so we have to process all of those registrations. And it's just the business of school never really stops. It just takes on a different pace during the summer.
Right. In the studio this morning with Detroit Lake School Superintendent Doug Froke as we head into the month of June through July. Now, the school board, of course, meets now in the mornings so they can enjoy themselves, enjoy our summer that we've started. So the meetings are morning meetings now in July and August, and then you'll go back to the regular evening meetings in September.
Correct. Yep.
Just in case anybody wanted to attend a meeting, they have extra time in the morning at 7 a.m. They want to sit in on a meeting. So is the first meeting of the month still at the district offices, and then the second meeting is at the high school, and then the second meeting will be at the council chambers?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So we go in the high school media center on the second Monday at 7 a.m. in July and August, and then as you said, the city council. So one of the things that we are doing as part of our summer work is organizing for a kickoff in the fall would be a strategic planning effort, so that we can set the mission going forward for the district as to trying to work toward a plan of meeting its needs for the ever-changing student population that we have in our district. So anyway, that's also part of what we do.
All right. And I think since the last time we spoke, of course, the legislature wrapped up a special session, and education, K through 12 education, or pre-K through 12 education, was approved for a 2% increase this year and next, the biennium increase in their budgets.
Right.
That's from the state aid.
Yep.
Okay.
So that defines the picture for us financially for the 2019-2020 school year and the 2020-2021 school year. So we'll have an idea of what we're going to get from the state, a better idea now. So that helps the picture. And of course, we're grateful for what we receive, and we'll go to work and try and use those dollars appropriately and effectively.
All right, Detroit Lake School Superintendent Doug Froke. And that's going to wrap up Hodge Podge for this Friday. I'm Carol McCarthy. Thanks for tuning in, KDLM.